Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Maddie B. Anyone that's watching the live stream, if it's late, it's because of me. So I went to a swim meet, and we got the lightning delay that everyone always gives whenever it's perfectly clear in the sky. I sent Matt a pic here just to show him what it looked like. I don't have it on here, though. But I sent him a picture of it, and I was just baffled that it delayed everything, but not to the point that everything was canceled. But there were no lights at the swim, like the pool or whatever that they had. And so anything that you didn't get in, you would have had to swim virtually tomorrow, which I thought was kind of strange that you would just finish it. But I guess it's better than driving across town to have everyone swim like 2 more strokes or whatever. But I always hate the weather delays because I'm not really sure. I know it's for the safety of the players, but I'm not 100% sure all the time if the protocols are just there and if there's actual safety precautions behind them. Because, like, there was no lightning, so someone saw it on, like, the radar. What is it, Matt? 40? It's like so many miles away.
Yeah.
So that weather person that gets the call, then they're able to look at it and say, hey, there is lightning. That's going to be it. And then they did the delay. And I know you see it for football sometimes. Like, I've been there. Sometimes it's warranted. Like, we were at the Pitt Florida State game, right? Is that the one that had the rain delay? Where it was almost like a monsoon. And I don't even remember what happened in terms of, like, them starting back up. But sometimes, like, yeah, it makes sense. But some of the other ones, it's kind of just like, all right, what am I doing here? And then, of course, on the way home, there's like a metal chunk, almost like an air vent. So I had to stop and make sure that my car wasn't destroyed, which everything looked okay. I did see the water drip from like the AC, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to be super late today for the show. And it was 100% my fault because I thought that it was going to be a home swim meet. So I didn't even think about pre-recording or anything. And then today I'm like, oh, damn, it's away. Not paying attention at all. But how are things with you, Matt? How's 7-on-7 and stuff going?
It's all things considered going pretty good. Had an opportunity to do had another competition on Friday. All in all, I like to see the improvement from the team. We had some good competition and definitely got a lot better.
That's good. How's summer conditioning and stuff going? Do you guys have, because it's not mandatory, right? Do you have good turnout?
It's been a pretty good turnout for us. I think this is either the best or second best that we've had in terms of players showing up. And one of the things that I've tried to do more so this year than in previous years is spending more time with, rather than just random running, trying to tailor it more to game type situations. So like I noticed it with one of our 7-on-7s. We had some guys that were on vacation, and so there were a couple kids that were missing for the one. And I thought, oh, this is going to be in bad shape because we only had probably 11 guys for it. I thought this in years past would have been a problem with as far as conditioning, but we finished up and I said, well, how you guys feeling? They're like, oh, we're good. Like, didn't look like they were dying or out of shape or things like that. So I feel like that's a huge step in the right direction.
That's always good. I honestly, I'd planned, because we're still in the off season, so there's not a lot of news coming out, and I wanted to do something different. I figured we might do kind of like a summer workout type show. And then I had on there, I was thinking of doing like maybe some diet things, because people that listened last week, I told you I was struggling with like a poison ivy outbreak. And I'm at the point now where I'm wondering if it's going to affect my 10K performance, because I have not been able to run since then. I've been trying, and for whatever reason, dude, I know it's kind of like an allergic reaction to it. And at this point, in hindsight, I probably should have went to the doctor, because it was all over both of my arms. And it's almost healed now, so people in the video, you can kind of see like little splotches or whatever. But it is just painful. So I'm at the point where if I try to run, my whole body will kind of just tell me like, no, what are you doing? To the point where like my sides hurt and I feel like I'm going to dry heave. And so I'm like, dude, I can't do the run. My watch tells me that I'm still in good shape though. And so I've kind of just been doing the bare minimum. And for those that have been listening, I have like the Garmin, was it Garmin Coach or Garmin Trainer or something like that? I've been doing to get ready for the Big 10K, which is like in 2 weeks or so. He's still confident that I'm going to do good and hit my time, which is like my above goal. But at this point, I'm like, I made it 3 miles the other day and my body just like shut down. And so I know how annoying that is. And I was thinking, I wonder how much of it, because if it is an allergy thing, I wonder if your diet could have, like, if I ate healthier, would my body have been able to fight off that faster? What if, like, a sickness or whatever? And I had made a note to not talk about Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger for 3 weeks because I thought people have to be tired of me bringing up Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. And what do you know, Matt? I go through my pre-show checklist. I'm looking through like the Steelers media mentions. All of their stories are about Ben Roethlisberger's diet. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I make a show about something where I don't want to talk about the guy, and the Steelers decide like, hey, this is going to be our media stuff this week, the exact topic that I'm planning on talking about. And so I thought, well, I have to roll it in because if I don't talk about the Roethlisberger thing, by the time we do it in a couple weeks, it'll be too old. But I was trying to give you guys a break. Maybe we'll do something different next week. And I thought it might be easier to line up because we have some Olympic stuff coming on before training camp. But before we get there, speaking of training, Conor McGregor, he broke his leg during his fight. And I saw a lot of people come out and they were like, oh yeah, karma. Karma, he deserved it. He shouldn't even have been in that fight, blah, 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 blah. He was throwing too many kicks and it was blocked perfectly, broke his leg. I rewatched it. There hasn't really been a definitive footage of like, that's where he broke the leg, at least that I've seen. Because when it actually breaks, he's just stepping back. And so I almost wonder, like, was he training the kicks too hard beforehand, weakening his leg, thinking this is going to be my attack, my attack, my attack. And I don't think people realize, like, when you're actually training at that level for any athletic competition, you can overdo it pretty easy. And it might not just be, like, if you think of baseball as more of my experience here, but, like, even pitching arms. Like, you can practice and say, like, I'm going to throw this. I'm going to throw my curveball perfect. And I always tell teenagers, like, don't throw a curveball. I told my cousin, I said, don't throw a curveball. Don't throw a curveball. Why are you doing it? Oh, I'm good at it. And I'm doing it the right way. I'm not going to get hurt. Boom. A year later, oh yeah, my arm's all messed up. It's like, why are you even risking it at this point? You know it's not going to be good long term. I always tell them what I ended up started to throw, because I hurt my elbow doing stupid stuff when I was I don't even know how old I was. But I ended up switching to like a split finger fastball. Nobody throws it. And you can even move your finger around a little bit to kind of have it pop out, to take some speed off. So it's almost like a hybrid knuckleball. And if you can get it to pop just right, and it takes some practice, but hell, wouldn't you rather be throwing something that doesn't hurt your elbow? Because throwing a curveball wrecks it too. And so I wonder if the same thing happened to Conor. Like, you're throwing these crazy kicks, and he's not going to throw something in the fight that, guess what? He's been practicing that. Like Bruce Lee said, he'd rather face a guy that has 10,000 different kicks than one guy that trained his one kick 10,000 times. So I'm sure Conor McGregor, the kick that he was using, he'd been training it, and that spot in his leg might have just got worn down and then broke. And it required surgery. They said it took a couple hours. They think that it's going to be back and healed. And so I hope he does get healed, because UFC or MMA, like right now, that could be the top sport, because guess what? All the other sports, they're kind of faltering in the TV ratings and stuff. I really don't have hard numbers yet. I was waiting for the NBA finals to get over. I know you sent me something about their numbers. But come on, I don't understand why you cannot like some of the fighters, but people cheering a guy losing because of injury, to me, that's almost just like a disqualification. It's not really like, oh, he lost. So that's it. I didn't have strong feelings either way on who I wanted to win. I like Conor, though. I think he's funny. That's how I pick my guys. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I think he's figuring out the way that fighting is going now. And he says these controversial things right before the fight and drums up all this additional interest. I mean, he's figuring out the marketing aspect of trying to get people to bet and getting people to have an interest in the sport. So to that end, I think he's figured out the showmanship aspect of some of these fights and drawing in the pay-per-view numbers and things like that to get people to want to watch the fight. And if he's playing this bad guy role, I mean, he's playing it wonderfully because he's drawn all these extra people in that normally have no vested interest in the sport, but at the perfect time, you know, he drums up this extra controversy.
Well, I'm going to get some hate for this, but I liken it to WWE, and basically that's what it is looking at.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And for all the hate like John Cena had gotten, and I know people are going to attack me, but there was a point there, and I would even say maybe currently, where John Cena is the only wrestler that a lot of people know that like still wrestles. At least I think he still wrestles. Maybe I'm wrong. But like other than that, it's like The Rock. And so like it went from The Rock to John Cena, where now they're both in movies and they're big enough that they're a draw. But outside of that, wrestling fans, they'll be like, oh, John Cena's not even a good wrestler, blah, blah. He's not this, he's not that. Like there are all these other guys that had the belt longer. But most casual people, they don't know that. Like they watch some of the stuff. That's why I think both Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather knew that people aren't going to watch because of the opponents that they had coming in. No one knows who they are. Like, I think it's unbelievable that Khabib ended up being undefeated because, like, of the injury side. There's always a chance, like, you get a stinger, something happens, you break a bone. That's outside of your control. Like, to even just have, I looked it up, I think he had 28 fights where he's undefeated. Like, that's a hell of a lucky career. And I'm not saying because of his technique. I'm just saying because of all the fluke things. You slip a little bit and you get caught, and it's like, okay, but that's crazy. Like, you can be good, but there can be some also things that go wrong that hurt that record, and he was able to get it done. Same with Floyd Mayweather, and now he's at the point where he's old and picking fights. He's like fighting McGregor, which had to hurt his career because you can't just stop training all your other stuff to focus on boxing and then come back and think that you're going to be right back in there when all your opponents have been training everything the entire time. So I think that definitely hurt him. But the sport needs those guys. And there's no reason, like if you look back in the heyday of like when wrestling was good, where it was like even going back to, what was it, the 70s, 80s, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, the Ultimate Warrior. Like they had a couple of guys that everybody knew. Like Andre the Giant, wasn't he in Princess Bride?
Yes.
Yeah, like Macho Man Randy Savage is doing commercials in like kids' cartoons and stuff. And like the Ultimate Warrior was everywhere. And even Hulk Hogan, Hulkmania, like that was everywhere. Like you can have multiple mainstream guys, and when you have that many guys that are coming in, yeah, it's going to get crazy for your sport. And so MMA, UFC, because I know some of the guys come from MMA or whatever. But the UFC, if those fighters want to come together, they need to have like some heroes and villains. And if McGregor wants to be the villain, let it happen because he's going to make money off it. And I think it's good for the sport. Everyone likes a guy, a villain. Like he's going to have his own fans. Some people like the good guys, and that's okay because you need those. And it's like, if Khabib wants to come in, he wants to be like, who was the wrestler? Was it Goldberg? That was like, yeah. He's like undefeated for like however many matches. Like everyone knows it's rigged, but his whole thing was, yeah, I'm undefeated still. I was like, I remember he had like 200 something. I remember that being like a thing. It's like, yeah, but Goldberg's way better. I'm like, Goldberg.
Because then it became, well, how is he going to win this way?
Yeah, and then
this match going to end?
Wasn't he in the longest yard?
Yes.
Then he transitions to acting, but like you still had other guys. You had a deep bench. Everyone knew The Undertaker. They knew him. They knew Stone Cold Steve Austin. There are a bunch of other ones I could name, but like there are other guys that have transitioned into that superstar status where now it just seems like it's John Cena and that's it, right? Because The Rock was in that same era with those other guys. So he's basically from the older era. Now he's in every movie. It's like crazy. They must just have like 3 of him. Or his whole day is just shooting films. And he just does it so vaguely that they can use his footage in any film. Like, hey, Rock, we need like 15 different minutes of you sitting here and just talk. We'll put some voice lines later. And he's like sitting there talking. Like, they have to have body cam or something. Like motion capture where they're just putting it. Because he can't be doing that many movies at a time. Some actors are like, yeah, I got to spend the whole year on this movie. And The Rock's like having one and coming out every 2 weeks. It's unbelievable. I think that's how he became the best. But that's my thing on the Conor McGregor thing. I wanted to bring it up because I saw a lot of just people excited about a guy getting injured. It was weird. It'd be like, I know everyone joked about the Joe Theismann thing, like where he broke his leg. I think the joke is like, he had no control over that. Alex Smith, no control over that. People weren't like Cowboys fans weren't like, oh yeah, about time. He deserved that leg break. I don't even know if he broke it against the Cowboys. It's before my time. But everyone knows it was iconic. I don't think the McGregor one people will remember. And he should get his 4th attempt. I mean, they split the first one. McGregor beat him, and then McGregor went and did his whatever in boxing. And then I think he lost after that. I could be wrong. I didn't look at the timeline exactly. Anything you got on that?
No. But I did see a quote from him talking about a different fighter where he was saying about how it could have just been like little micro fractures from training or other fights before. And someone on Twitter had commented that little did he realize he was commenting on himself. Just saying how like it ended up being the way that he ended up losing the match.
Yeah, because that was exactly like I said, microfractures, like you're just training it over and over again. You don't know. It's not like they're scanning you all the time. Some people can get into the stuff. We'll talk about some more when we get back into the diet stuff, but like only a very select few athletes actually take care of their bodies like super, super detailed. Like they're not all sleeping in hypodermic or whatever. I don't even know what this is called. The tent the T.O. had?
Hyperbaric.
Hyperbaric, yeah. They're not doing that, Matt. Everyone's
like Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second. But I wanted to talk about, off the top of the show, the penalty kicks too, because so McGregor got a lot of hate. The England's soccer players also got a lot of hate because they missed their penalty kicks. And I think that it overshadowed the rest of the game. And I'll be honest, I didn't want England to win. I do not care. I do not care about their royal family that has to be on our TV for some reason. Like, it doesn't matter to me. So the fact that every soccer broadcast that's on ESPN, like they for people that don't know, they hire out like these British guys. So they're all from England or whatever. They're all commenting on the game. So they're all openly pulling for England to win. And they had the early lead. And I thought, all right, I'll do this. I'll turn it on. Because why not add some more pain to my life? I'll watch England win this and then I'll just complain about it on the show. And they let Italy tie it late. And I thought, this is it. They played scared for so long instead of just attacking, because like Italy and I mean, England's road to there, they didn't really play any of the top teams is what I saw. But like that Italian team, they didn't even make, what was it, the World Cup last time? And so like they're reeling in an international thing like that. I thought that was an easy matchup for them. And that's why I thought like England will win this 2-0. And they had the early lead, and then it's like, just attack. They had so many open shots, but they did like, it reminded me of like some of the stuff the Penguins would do, where they get the lead and it's like, all right, they're going to lose this game because they're just going to sit on this lead. And I'm going to have to sit here and watch like Sid and Malkin take like a crazy shot once it's tied, and then they're going to keep sitting on that defense. And that's exactly what happened. They had a few attempts where the ball broke through and they got a run out. And then there was even one, I don't think it was them though. Italy had one too that broke out. And instead of even just taking the shot, because it was tied at this point, their guy passed it back and there was like 3 England guys and they just easily cleared it. And I thought, neither of these teams want to win. Like at some point you have to realize like, hey, I have a life-changing chance right here to win this game. Because I think it was, I don't know if it was an extra jet or if it was just the extra time, but still, you make it, they're not going to score in like the extra 2 or 3 minutes that they had. And so the guy had a run out, and I thought, Italy's going to win it right here. And the guy never took the shot. And I was like, he clearly had it under control because he passed it to the middle and no one of his team was there. But at some point, I'm like, killers, like Michael Jordan would have took that shot. Like the guy can't block the entire net. Even just just dribble it back to the middle and take a shot. Like why are you dribbling down and then hoping? Like don't you realize the game is over? This is a once in a lifetime chance. That guy. So for all the fans that are coming after the players for just missing the penalty kicks, I thought both teams had a chance and they choked in like the regulation / extra time, where England, they should never have even got the extra time. Italy should never have been able to tie it because England had the pressure up. They could have just kept pressuring them. I know they had some guys out and then they made some late subs, but still pressure them, put them away early. They had a lot of fan support there. So it was just crazy. Like I watched some of the stuff and everyone was like, yeah, they choked. They're just known chokers. And I thought, maybe that's true. There are some teams that just end up choking like that, but I just saw it and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was going to come onto the show and just laugh at England, but now I really couldn't. And then the fact that the Italian guy missed his penalty kick at the end of the game, I thought neither of these teams want to win the game. And I thought for sure, I don't remember the guys in the order they missed it, but the England guy came up to then tie it and send it to another frame. And when he missed it, I thought, oh my gosh, they don't want to win. Like neither team, you don't miss like 3 penalty kicks in a row to end the game. That was unbelievable. So I don't know if you watched that, Matt, or if you have any thoughts on it, but right before the Olympics, that has to kill your hopes, I would think.
Well, I think it kills it. It does one of two things, because I think on one hand, it might give you a negative feeling going in, but it also could be an opportunity to look at how they played in that first game and just be like, all right, be more aggressive as we get into the Olympics, and it just becomes that much more, because hey, we had a chance to put a team away and we chose not to. Like we let it get away.
That's the one thing that's like frustrating. Like you have them there. It's not like, I mean, I don't even know how to like compare it to like, I mean, it's like kind of like football, like where the Falcons had the Patriots in that Super Bowl. And they decided, like, you know what, we're just going to sit on the ball and
we're just going to play conservative
and just run it out. And then by the time the game was over, they were like, yeah, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have did that so early. It was like, and everyone in the fan, like, they have to feel it. Like watching it, I hate when I see it in hockey. And I know we didn't really fit. I mean, the Stanley Cup ended exactly like I thought. I thought Tampa Bay would sweep them. They didn't. Canada, no luck winning the Stanley Cup, which, I mean, now Tampa Bay can claim back-to-backs just like the Penguins. Oh, well, what are you going to do? That was a good run for them. That was a good team. So, I don't know. But, like, you got to be a killer. Like, they could have did the same thing and sat back. And so when I watch soccer teams like that, like, even the USA women's team, they don't play like that. They play like champs, so maybe they'll bring home a gold medal. Hopefully we see that. But there are some other ones. I know the men's soccer is not even in the Olympics, so I don't even know which team I'm pulling for. But yeah, I'm just tired of the England bias on like our television for some reason for soccer. Like, bro, we don't care. You guys have never even won like that tournament, and you never even been there. You would think like, holy crap, we should just win this and prove that we are the champs, instead of like, hey, we got an early lead. Let's just sit back and hopefully we can pull this out. And then, oh no, we lost. Now let's have our fans harass our own players. Like, that's never the answer. And we were talking, because I had this idea before where they don't know what to do with social media and all the regulations and stuff. And, how are you supposed to get these fans or whatever to stop harassing your team? And now with like even the college, like national letter, how do you know whenever fans are sending money or whatever? Because like players can theoretically just sell autographs, or like I saw some players were setting up cameos, which that's like the thing, Matt, where you tell them to send a message to you and they'll like personalize like I guess it's kind of like a virtual digital card or something. I've never done it, so I don't know, but very simple. But I was thinking like the social media companies, all they have to do is like they already have like the verified check mark. Just open that up to anyone that wants to use their real name or business name. Because I know some of these guys have like, obviously the NBA, like you need to know which NBA is the real NBA, and they can still submit their documents because you have to like do your driver's license or whatever. They can verify you, and then that's it. And then all they have to do is add a setting that allows you to hide everyone that's not verified, and boom, everyone else and all that comment would be cleaned up because it would be tied to your actual real name. Because people already get fired for the stuff they post. They're not going to post if they're verified. Well, let's be honest. Some people do post when they're verified, but I honestly think that it would cut it down so much, and that there would be almost like a camaraderie, like, hey, yo, what are you doing that for? Like your real name. Because like most people, even if they use their real name on Facebook, it's not verified, and they can always throw up the, oh yeah, I'm hacked. But I think like Twitter or whatever, they could say like, hey, if you're verified, you have to have all these security measures in place, like the 2-step or whatever, and a verified like phone number and whatever, so that they know which your account is to. And they'll tell you where, like Twitter, they know exactly what location you're posting from. So if it's coming from your own phone, guess what? You're not hacked, bro, unless you gave your phone to someone. That's still not a hack because they're just accessing your account on your device. So that's my thoughts on it. If they want to clean it up, they could very easily clean it up, but they don't want to because that would hurt their numbers. Because if anyone could then just stop following these bots and random accounts that are just fake marketing accounts that people make, then they know that their overall numbers would go down. Like there's not like however many 100 million or billion accounts on Twitter and Facebook. There's just not. Half of them are fake, if not more than that. So anything else you got on that before we get into our diet stuff?
No.
All right, so getting into this, like I had said, I was thinking, okay, what can we talk about on the show? And I know we're doing summer workouts and stuff. And this was before the Ben Roethlisberger versus Tom Brady thing came up. But I've been training for the 10K, and I thought, let's kick this into high gear. Obviously, I'm still reeling where my body's not 100%. I've been trying to push it out there. I've been adding extra rest days and then coming out there, which is a crazy thing that I wanted to mention. So my watch has like a couple of monitors that it does. My heart rate has been consistently lower, which is good because it gets lower as you get more in shape, I think is how it works. And then it gives you like the in shape rating, which is obviously good now because I've been talking about that. But there's also a stress rating. And since I've been like going through like this recovery period, my stress rating has been as higher than it's ever been, which is unbelievable. I don't know what that is measuring, but obviously the watch knows like, hey, you're not 100% yet. So like, let's calm down. Because the one time is like, you are right. And I'm like,
you good, bro?
I'm like checking my heart rate. I'm like, says I'm good. I'm like, wonder what the hell that's measuring. Like, it can't be temperature or something, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. They're like, yo, you got a fever, dog. Get to that hospital stat. What are you doing? I'm like running. Cause like I'll go running and I'm like sweating immediately. And then that would make the poison ivy feel worse. So, I'm trying to battle back from that. But one of the things I was wondering is like, as you go through like the checklist of things like, hey, this will make you better. Maybe, you're allergic to some other foods and stuff too. Maybe there's some toxins maybe that you can get out of your body by eating a healthier diet. And then this Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady thing comes out. And for those that don't know, which we've talked about the Tom Brady one on the show before. I know we have. But Tom Brady eats pretty clean. And I think the quote that always sticks with me is that he eats healthy, but he also eats whatever he wants. So he said that, like, he'll eat a piece of bacon if he wants a piece of bacon. But he knows that, like, yo, I'm not going to go. His quote was something like, I'm not going to eat shit pizza. Like, if I'm going to eat pizza, I'm going to make sure it's the best pizza I can get. Like, he'll buy the expensive piece of pizza and then just eat that instead of, like, because he said, like, he always regrets, like, why am I eating this pizza that tastes like shit? Like, halfway through it. So, over time, and that's something that's kind of like, everyone always says it's a lifestyle, which feels cliche to me. But you have to consciously make that choice, like, hey, am I eating this bag of chips? It's like, why am I eating this? Why is my hand covered in grease? I can't even touch my phone. Like, if my phone can't handle the chip grease, how do you think your insides feel? And so at some point you have to make that thing. And so I was going to just put out I like to put actionable tips out there. So my thing was going to be like, yo, if you're going for snacks, it's summer season, just next time you're at the store, instead of reaching for chips, soda, or whatever, get some water, maybe some fruit. So Tom, I haven't tried it yet, but my new thing is Tom Brady likes to just throw fruit and vegetables in his water and to give it some extra flavor and then just drink it that way. I don't know if he ate the fruit after. I would assume he dumps it, right? I don't know. His book was pretty expensive. But now it comes out that Ben Roethlisberger is following an even stricter diet than Tom Brady. I didn't see any details on it, though, Matt. I was at the meet, so do you have any additional information on this? Because I think you sell the same thing.
I saw the same thing, and I thought, well, Ben Roethlisberger, who, mind you, is a beacon of fitness for the NFL, has to gain a lot of ground in a hurry. So he's realizing that with all the changes to the offensive line, he's probably going to have to run for his blessed life. So he's like, I can't be waddling back in the backfield anymore. I gotta get in shape to run. So he hit the montage, start training.
Well, there's so much misinformation, and I've been talking about it. That's why I wanted to just kind of quit talking about it, because I feel like people are going to be sick of hearing it on our show. But it went from, hey, Ben Roethlisberger's in great shape, to like ESPN put out an article where they were hearing that it's so bad that he might be benched by mid-season. Like, that's how bad his performance has been with the team, and his arm strength is just not there. And then I've heard like, oh no, it's perfectly there. I don't know where that information is coming from, but it's like someone's either leaking this. Like, I doubt that these guys would just be making up their information. So there's probably some conflicting stories, but I would assume that there's some truth in everything that's come out. Like, yeah, his arm is back to being healthy, but maybe that's just in terms of like the doctor terms. The strength probably isn't there because he's how old. And so now he's like doing a stricter Tom Brady diet. But like, what does that mean? Like, Tom Brady admits to eating pizza. Like, does Ben Roethlisberger just go out and buy more expensive pizza than Tom Brady? He's like, Tom says it's okay, I'm going to go buy this. Or, yeah, I put some blueberries in that water I drank. Like, I don't know. Because I know they even sell like cups that I've seen girls have at like the gym. They have like a little thing, like a filter tube or something where they shove fruit down in and then it like sits in the water, but then you can just dump that out so it's easier to clean. I don't know how to describe one of those cups. I don't know what it'd be called for you to buy one, but if you're curious, but if I'm Tom Brady, I would probably just throw it right in the cup. It looks cooler that way, I think. You're just drinking, because you at the restaurant, they give you like the lemon on the side, just toss it right in there. Might be dirty though, the rind. So, I don't know. Wonder what do you think he does? Do you think he cuts it out?
I bet he just chucks it in there.
Yeah, but do you think I guess if it's like a watermelon or something, it's probably already cut by his guy. If it's a lemon, he probably peeled it for him.
But with Brady's diet, with Roethlisberger now claiming that he's on an even more stricter thing, that amazes me that at this point isn't even something that's factored into these guys' contracts. Like, for as many players that have issues, like remember when Eddie Lacy signed with the Seahawks, and it was like, is he going to make the next weigh-in? And like, he had like financial incentives to basically not turn into an offensive lineman in the offseason. It's like, I would think that, number one, more franchises would say the shelf life of an NFL player is already relatively small. Like, I think if you play 3 or 4 seasons, and you're consistently still in the league, you're qualifying for like health coverage and everything else through the Players Association. So I don't know if it's that short a time, but I know like the period that they are qualified for, it isn't very many years.
I thought it was like 3.
That's what I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Either am I, though. But
you look at that and you say, okay, so for 3 years, and you're having, it's not like you're getting paid minimum wage. Like you're getting a salary that like you really don't have to do anything else. I think you could dedicate yourself to focusing on diet and just being an athlete.
Well, even now, like people listening to the show, I think a lot of the misconception, everyone's always like, oh, it's expensive to eat healthy. Like, no, I think if you substitute just snacks, like a bag of chips is like what, $4 now? And like, on 4th of July, there's going to be chips. Like I was at a thing where they had like what, four boxes of chips out, 4 bags of chips like in bowls or whatever. It's like, all right, do we really need 4 of these? And then you look at all the desserts and stuff, but a bag of carrots, Matt, is like $1, if that, depending on how big the bag is. And so like, how about you just buy a bag of carrots and then every time you're hungry, eat a carrot. And then if you don't like the carrot, then don't eat. Like eventually your body's going to be like, you know what? I'd really need another carrot right now. And you can mix it up because celery and all that other stuff is just as cheap. You don't have to cook that. You do not have to cook it. I mean, you have to keep it refrigerated, I think. But there are some fruits and vegetables where like, and if you want to pay, like I think a veggie tray, you can get a small veggie tray for like $4 or $5, unless I haven't been shopping for a while. God knowing the last time I bought one of them, but they have like the different sizes where like, hey, how about you just buy that or, buy fruit? Because Tom Brady has said that, his diet, he eats a lot more fruit than they recommend because he gets like the electrolytes from it or whatever. But he's also working out, like you said, as a full-time job. So yeah, if you're substituting chips for maybe like 18 pounds of blueberries and grapes and whatever else is in like a tray and you're dipping it in that white cream that comes with it, like, yeah, that's probably going to be not much of a help for you. But I think if you can not dip it in anything, because you can get like the apple tray that comes with like the caramel and you're like, oh yeah, let me get 3 more caramels with this. Like they make it easy for you, but they also just add a little bit of like devil's touch to it. That's what I consider it. Like, hey, we already cut these apples for you. They're right here. It's very cheap. But we also have this gigantic tub of caramel that comes with it. Like you're not just going to throw that away, are you? You technically paid for it. But I think if a lot of people look at that and they say, I don't want to have to get my own apples or whatever because I have to peel it or it's all I have to do all this like work for it. Just for a while, just switch it. And so like I wonder that's what the next approach I think I'm going to do, to just get away from like some of the snacks and stuff. And I know if you have kids and stuff, it's a lot tougher because sometimes like, hey, if you're going to go to this practice or this camp or whatever, we have requirements where they need their own bagged meals and all this stuff. So you have that around your house, and I know that can tempt you. But for like the weekend, like, hey, instead of just throwing a couple of bags of chips out, just get a fruit tray, throw the cup away in the middle of whatever that comes with it, caramel, like whatever tray you want. I know that, I don't know, was it cream cheese, Matt? You would know.
I think, well, usually they have like yogurt with it. Like you do like Greek yogurt. That's
probably a good trade-off. I think you could do that for a light snack. And the good thing is, like, you can just pull it out and have it as your snack during the day, and it's going to hydrate you more. And I think just even doing that and just saying, like, hey, for my snack, I'm only going to eat fruits and veggies. And if I don't want to buy the cheap bag of carrots, just get the tray. Like, you might have to make more trips to the grocery store, but I would think that most people live within 10 minutes of a grocery store. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But, because some of the stuff, like, yeah, but one bag of, like, even a box of cereal is like $5. So you can just get a fruit tray. You're not eating that whole fruit tray. You can eat a whole, box of cereal in, like, 3 bowls. Because half of it is air in that stupid thing.
But honestly,
you're not going to eat a whole fruit tray, Matt.
I could eat a whole fruit tray, but the point that I was making was that if you're on an NFL, even at the league minimum, what's the league minimum? Like $500,000. Like at that much a year, you can afford to have like a nutritionist and someone that like have your own chef prepare meals for you, so that you don't even have to think about it. It's just like, I need you to just have my meals and just give them to me when I need to have my meals, and factor that in times 3. And then, once your playing days are over, then if you want to just go crazy and just eat frozen pizzas every day for every meal, then so be it. Have at it. Like you've made enough money that you can just live off of your professional earnings, and it is what it is.
But see, like even let's say you even had a $50 a week budget, like you were trying to save some money. If you read through Tom Brady's diet, and I know I'm bringing up the Tom Brady one because I read it before the show, I could not find Ben Roethlisberger's actual diet. So if he wants to come out and say what it is, perfect. But like Tom's buying fruit, which like you can get bags of like whatever fruit you want for the week. Just get a bag, throw a bunch in it, get $10 worth of apples, oranges or whatever, and you're going to have a ton of fruit. He's cutting those up, throwing them in his water.
Just pretend you're a horse. Just cut up apples and carrots, just lay it in a big fat trough for your big fat face. And just
you can get bags, you can get bag salads. The other thing that surprised me with Tom, he's eating like almond butter and jelly sandwiches or something. I was like, weird. Like you're basically eating peanut butter and jelly like he's a kid. And because I thought he would be avoiding bread. He didn't say what bread he used though. But like bread's not that expensive. You can get an entire loaf of bread and eat sandwiches for the week if you wanted to. Get some peanut butter, throw some bananas in it, get some jelly. Eat some regular like jelly ones if you want. Tom's doing it. Can't be that many calories. And then if you're just trying to eat only that, but like if you're only eating then a salad for dinner or something, I think chicken's going to be, or steak if you're throwing that in, that's obviously your most expensive part, right? I think the other thing that I would eat would be fish, because that's one thing that I've been pivoting to is starting to eat a lot more fish, because one of the things was like the allergy things that said that if you're eating more animal meats, which I definitely do, compared to fish, that can throw off some of like your allergic stuff. And so I was wondering if maybe that's why my allergies get real bad in the spring. But of course I'm not going to be able to test that in like a week, so that's going to have to just be a conscious shift where it's like, oh, do I need to eat chicken 7 days a week? Maybe I should eat fish 2 or 3 of those,
I thought maybe you would be wary of chicken because your boy Jim Harbaugh doesn't like those scared animals.
Well, to be honest, I like red meat. But then, just the convenience of chicken is so much easier. Like, it's always like, oh, here's some chicken tenders. Oh, you like Alfredo? Chicken goes great with that. Oh, you like this? Like, oh, chicken Parmesan. Perfect. So I never realized that, a lot of my favorite meals had chicken in it. And so it's like, if I counted how many chickens I was eating, I'm definitely eating probably chickens more than any other animal. And I know that they're probably pumped full of human growth hormone or something. I don't know. I never really read, but I'm sure that it's not really good. So you're probably better off to get a different mix of meats. So that's something that I'm going to try to do more often. Mix it up where you're not eating chicken 7 days a week, maybe 2, red meat 2, and then fish 3 or something. I think fish should be higher, but I could be wrong. That might just be my estimation on that, just because of the oils and stuff that they say is better for you. And if you don't like fish, try salmon. Salmon doesn't really taste like fish. Has its own distinct taste. But anything you think diet-wise? Because I know you're real big into cooking and stuff.
To me, I think it's finding what works for you. Like, if you know, for me personally, I'm not giving up pizza. And I know that if I were able to do that, I probably would be a lot thinner. But
hold on, because the audience don't know, you make your own pizza. So you make it from your own ingredients. So you control everything, and it is delicious. So I don't think it's really making you fat if you can control and be like, hey, I know that this has a lot of like whatever in the dough. Maybe I can just take some sugar out or whatever. I don't know how you make it.
I mean, you could manipulate it that way, but there's also times where if I'm feeling lazy and I have frozen pizza in the house, then I just pop that in too. Like,
that's your mistake, dude. Should have had a fruit tray.
See, I never. I'm just gonna have my trough of apples and carrots now.
Yeah, but if you see someone riding a horse down the road, you can always feed it. It's perfect.
But I think, if you have those things that are your non-negotiables, and for some people, maybe it's even having like their choice of alcoholic beverages. That if you're saying, well, I'm not going to stop this, then the other end is, do you run more? Do you lift more? Do you get, like, where are you burning those extra calories? Because I think it's easier on paper just to say, eat clean and just follow. Like, there's tons of resources out there of like what the clean foods are, and usually they're ones that have higher water volume to them. So like any of your fruits, a lot of your fruits and vegetables have higher water content, which by default makes you feel fuller faster. So if you're eating those kinds of things, that's why, like, if you eat a handful of, say, grapes compared to a handful of chips, you're going to feel more satisfied eating those grapes or whatever fruit or vegetable, because there's the extra water in it that's going to make you feel fuller. So it's kind of being conscientious of some of those decisions, and that can help you too.
And that's something that, because I looked this up, so I looked up like a $50 shopping list for like the week, and like they're making some substitutions here that I think are like kind of crazy. They're like making you buy 1 can of each type of vegetable, but like I think you can really just stick with what you like and switch it up week by week. Like, you don't have to have a green and orange or red or whatever. They tell you to get like all the different colors. You can mix that up by weeks. Like maybe one week you have carrots, then you switch to like corn. Try to get what's in season. Because I think that's where a lot of people, they get tripped up. Like, oh, well, if I'm going to switch to fruits, I have to have one of everything. And then my bill's $200. And it's like, what are you going to do with all that food? Like maybe one week you get one berry. And you mix it in it just to try, because you're not going to switch your entire diet. But like Matt said, you have to have a plan. So kind of plan it out. And if you're worried about not having like time, one of the things that I did back in the day when I lived by myself is I had a rice cooker, and I would just cook the rice on, like, was it Sunday while I was watching football or something, and then just freeze it into just little containers I had. They were like plastic or whatever. And then I would just fry them whenever I'd need it. So I'd make enough maybe for like 2 or 3 meals during the week. So that if I was lazy, crack a couple eggs in there, make some fried rice, and then just eat that. So you're still getting your carbs. And rice is cheap. Pasta is cheap. So like you're able to pick up other things. I'm not just saying just eat fruits and vegetables, but just mixing it in, like throw a couple of peas or whatever you want into the rice with you, and you have some, like, your own fried rice. You can make your own veggie fried rice pretty easy and have that be a filling meal. Have some oatmeal. Get the cheap oatmeal that you have to make yourself, and then throw some of your own apples in instead of buying the pre-bag stuff. But the pre-bag, if you want the apple or whatever flavored, that's not that expensive either. Like, I think it's much easier to eat like an oatmeal or something that's probably healthier for you than getting a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal, or like whatever they have. I don't even know if that's a thing, right? Is that what it's called? What's all right, yeah. It's been a while, so I don't want to say the wrong cereal name, but like if you're 30 years old and you're eating Trix, and you're eating Trix, and then you're going and picking up a pizza, or better yet, just finding one in your freezer, like, oh, who made this? I can make it myself right now. And then you're eating like a bunch of chips and stuff. Like, yeah, then you have to be thinking, like, what am I doing with my life? So just substituting a little bit each time, and then who knows? Well, my thing is too, like, if you have leftover money, then, because I honestly think you would save money if you get rid of a lot of the brand named like garbage foods that people buy. Like I've seen people just go and they're like, hey, I have to go shopping. And they come home and they have like boxes of cookies. Those are like $5 a box. It's like, why are you buying those? Like, I'm still surprised that you can walk into the grocery store and how many aisles, Matt? 6 out of 10 are like cookies, chips, soda. Like, there's a whole aisles for these things. People are just going and there's an entire aisle dedicated to cookies. So someone's buying it. That a tenth of the store is cookies. Like, that's outrageous to me. I don't even know the last time I've eaten a cookie. Not appealing. Any other tips you have? What do you think? You eat cookies?
I ate one yesterday because my mom makes chocolate chip cookies that are out of this world.
Yeah, see, that's making it yourself. I think that's a fun thing. And I think that can do be like some family bonding stuff too. That's different than saying like, well, Chips Ahoy makes mine. And I just ate 30 of them and I dipped it in this milk that I had. It's like, that does sound good. But if you don't eat it for a while, sometimes it's like, if someone's telling me like, yeah, I was eating chocolate chip cookies, I think it makes my teeth itch. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle that sugar. So slowly, maybe I'm not fully going into it with my diet. I've been working out. It's been on and off for about a year now because we're coming up on the 10K again. So this next year, that's my plan. That's why I wanted to bring it in. Start to change more things that you buy. Like, I consistently buy chips. I know that's a bad idea. Sometimes I get soda. I feel like soda is a trap, though, because anytime you go out to eat, it's like the same. It's like maybe 20 cents more for soda than it is for water. It's like, why are you charging me for $3 for a water at some places? And so it's like, you know that they're going to charge you for the drink, so sometimes I just cave. But that's just being cheap, I think. I don't know how to get out of that mindset. I haven't broken it myself.
Well, there's something else that it's kind of a funny story, but I remember we were having a discussion in our group text about juicing, and I was really confused initially because I was like, "Why are you taking steroids?" And didn't realize that you're taking a lot of those fruits and vegetables and using them that way. Because when you look at a lot of the diet plans, they say like the amount of fruit and vegetables that you're supposed to be eating, it's an ungodly amount. So like that is a way to backdoor some of that, is by blending it and just drinking it as a smoothie. Like that, I think that does help if you're following some kind of diet plan that's having you eat like a ridiculously high amount of vegetables through the course of the day. Like rather than sitting there and like, I don't know how you feel about eating salads, but I can eat one and then go probably like a month or two before eating another one.
Well, see, I haven't really eaten salads, but the juicing thing I did like for the convenience at some points, but after a while, because I had my machine, I don't have it anymore, but I had it for quite a few years, and it started to like rust in certain spots, which means it didn't run as clean. So then I wasn't actually getting as much juice. And then it's like, to buy that part, it's pretty much half the cost of the entire machine. So then it's like, do you buy it just another new one? And then I'm hoping that like, I wish there was like, I know there's probably never going to be a self-cleaning one, but I think if there was an easier way, and that's why at this point, I'm kind of like, it was a revelation reading the notes for Tom Brady before the show, where it's kind of like, he didn't sound like he cared about juicing. He would just throw it into the cup to kind of get some of the nutrients, and then he'd eat some of it. Like, that's how I feel about it. Like, because I think some people use it as a crutch, and so I don't want to recommend it, because I think everyone will, like, they'll keep eating their cookies, but they're going to also drink 8 carrots that they juiced. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, but if you would have ate the 8 carrots instead, you would have actually been full. And so I think that's the one thing that whenever I was doing it, if you would work out with it, it definitely left you feeling really hungry, and I felt like it led to overeating. They tell you that you're going to get the nutrients. It's not the same. Like, I would much rather eat 8 carrots, even though I really don't like eating carrots at all. Like, I don't dip them in anything either, because I don't like, I'm not a fan of like, oh, you're going to eat healthy, but let me get my 13 pounds of ranch here, and where I'm just basically using it as a spoon, the carrot, and I'm eating the whole bottle. It's like, then because that might be another reason why whenever I'm throwing out these costs and you're thinking at home like, well, where's his dressing? Like, I try not to put dressing on, because sometimes I think that you're just adding it in, and I know some oils are good. So it's kind of like a mix here and there. How pure can you get type of thing. But definitely the quick eating stuff, because I'll try to wrap it up here. I think the quick eating stuff, and we'll bring this back in a little bit later for people that are interested, because we still have a bunch of off-season weeks coming up. Like the fried foods and like the breaded stuff, I think if it would be easier and cheaper to cut some of that out, but sometimes it's just so much cheaper if you're looking at it and trying to buy enough for the week. Burgers too, at some point you're like, how much burger can I get? Or like a steak, but if you go cheap, it's not going to taste as good. So sometimes I'm kind of like Tom Brady, where I'd rather just buy one great steak, and then that's my steak for the week, If there's leftovers, throw it in the salad, but at least I can have one good meal with maybe just some rice and then some vegetables or like corn. I kind of just buy whatever vegetables or fruits are in season. So that's going to be my plan going forward. We'll see how it goes. I'll be checking in a few weeks. But feel free, Matt, to add anything else you have on it.
I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, I know we started late. I didn't really want to go late. So my kind of final bill I put on here, the United States basketball blues. I was also going to talk about the finals. They said that the TV ratings were down. And I know you sent me one where the Steelers-Ravens, like, was it a Wednesday night game that had gotten postponed because of the coronavirus, had more viewers than the NBA Finals so far. And to me, I'm not surprised. And they're still throwing out the same, small market. People need to rally behind these small markets. And I just hate that term. With today's internet, it doesn't matter what market they're from. The NBA has been marketing superstars just like WWE, just like UFC, and that's why I'm going to kind of circle this back around to like the Conor McGregor stuff. They have like LeBron as this villain, and they try to make him the hero, which I think makes a lot of people even more view him as a villain. And then the other guys in the league, like Kevin Durant and James Harden, like guys that people would tune in to watch, they're all on their other superstar teams. So when those teams get eliminated, like you lose both superstar teams because of injuries, guess what? That's it. It's not small market anymore. You're not marketing these other guys. I've seen people have been telling me, people that are on the teams, because last week I said I didn't know any of them. Like, yeah, I know some of the names, but I also watch a lot of sports. I'm talking about it from the average fan's perspective. They don't know. Just like a lot of people still don't even know who Khabib is from UFC. He was undefeated. They know who McGregor is. He has like wines and all kind of weird stuff like going on, like his other ventures. You know what I mean? Because he's like boxing. He's going out. He's marketing himself. And I think that one thing that if the NFL really wants to put the stake into, I think a lot of people, because there was a big rivalry between the NBA and the NFL a few years ago. And I think you're really, really starting to see where it's crumbling down now, where you see the USA basketball team, they go in, they finally lose to a team from the continent of Africa, I believe. I think that was the first loss they ever had. And after the game, the comments from just like the coaches and like the people around the program were just so asinine that I was almost like it's embarrassing to be affiliated where, they got lucky. They were hitting all these threes. Where the hell is your defense? Oh, well, in the NBA, they play great defense. No, not if you're giving up that many threes. Oh, well, our guys might just be tired and it's an exhibition, so we really don't care. And it's like, okay, then why are you playing it? Like, you lost 2 of them now, I believe is what they end up losing. And now you're going into the Olympics, you're telling me that you're going to win the gold? Like, I'd be shocked if they win the gold, Matt. Shocked. Like, the Dream Team were beating that team by 80 points. And I know that they're like, well, not all the superstars are there. But the comments after were like, oh, we have the best isolation players in the world. So we went isolation at the end of the game to get our shots. Like, how about playing like a team? Like these other countries are doing, and they're winning. And it's kind of just like the NBA attitude where, we have the best players, or our guys are so good. You need to definitely watch our sport because these guys are going to ISO it up. And I honestly just don't think the regular fan cares to watch it. They don't. Like, the TV ratings are down. If you look at like from the 90s down here, it's not just because I see a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, the lockdown one, or when it was up against football, it was down. But whenever you're looking at that overall, it was kind of like, all right, here we go. What type of system are they going to run? Is it going to be a team passing system where guys are getting open looks for 3? No. They had 4 different guys they were trying to ISO it. They listed them. Yeah, we're going to go with these guys getting them their ISO looks. It's like, that's why we're losing, and that's why it's embarrassing. And the NBA does the same exact thing, and guess what? The international game is called differently. I talk about it. I speculate with the Big Ten. The Big Ten has their own officials that's kind of different from the ACC and the SEC. They share. And whenever they get into, like, basketball and football, when they get into, like, tournaments and stuff, a lot of their teams all, guess what? They bomb. They bomb, except for teams like Michigan with John Beilein that had been getting destroyed by the refs all Big Ten season. Oh, they're not playing right. They're not playing Big Ten basketball. Then they get in the NCAA tournament. They're the only team left, and everyone's like, yeah, I guess Michigan is pretty good. It's like we didn't know all year because the Big Ten refs were against them. But guess what? In the NCAA tournament, they don't call it that way. The NBA, they don't call fouls on superstars. But guess what? In the Olympics, they definitely are. So going ISO and stuff, it's not going to matter. And I think that that's just going to be, they want the sport to go global, and I hope that the international stuff just takes over, because I wonder if it will become almost like soccer here, where everyone kind of likes the international stuff better. And I know because international was bigger first overseas, but to me, basketball is kind of going that direction. Where, hey, if you want to watch team basketball, watch some of the college teams that have these good coaches. When they get up like Brad Stevens, great basketball mind. Everyone keeps talking about how he should just come back to Duke and he can run a system and actually have players that buy in, and he doesn't have to worry about like all this hero ball type stuff. But now he's like the Celtics like GM or something. It's like, dude, he can't even coach. The players didn't even respect him to run his system. Like, he didn't win anything in the NBA. And everyone's like talking about how all these NBA great coaches. I'm like, are they really great coaches? LeBron basically coaches himself. He picks a coach. He had that one coach that was there for a year. They went to the championship game and they lost, I think. He got him fired. Like, if that guy was actually a great coach, how come no other team picked him up and said, you know what, we haven't been to the finals in forever. Let's get this guy. He's been there. Like, nope. So I just don't know. Like, you try to put all your stuff in and then you try to make it to kind of fit where you can market it. But that's not how the sport works around the world. And you look at how soccer is too, like with England. They do the same thing. They have all their superstars. They bring in all the guys from other countries now to like bring it up, just like the NBA. They're growing all these guys. That's what one of the comments were like, you're disrespecting that team that you lost to. They had 5 NBA guys on that team. And like, they're playing against these guys. They know how to defend ISO ball.
Yeah.
And there's not that much of a difference. Like, if you don't have LeBron on the team taking those ISOs where he's just such a more physical freak than those other guys, these other guys, like, there's not that much of a difference, Matt. Like, there's a clear superstar level in the NBA, then there's everybody else. Like, was it Jamal Crawford from Michigan? He's like playing in the NBA for like however many years, 30 years or something. He was like back with, I don't even know. He played forever. It can't be 30 years. It has to be 20. But he's still floating around, and like that kind of guy, they can live. And guess what? They can also play internationally, and they can play and get their own buckets. And when it comes time to the international tournament, they can match up. So that's something we're going to be watching in the next couple weeks. But that's all I had, Matt. Do you have anything for the final bell or anything on basketball stuff?
Well, with the basketball stuff, I just thought it almost is an arrogant feeling that I get that with the USA basketball team, that like when you were talking about the dream team, they were on a mission to just like blow everyone out of the water. It's like with the teams now, you have so many guys that are opting out of not playing, and you get so many guys that are just like, well, we're just kind of here because I don't really have anything else to do. that like it's like an I don't care mindset, and I'd like to see them treat it as something a little bit more special.
Well, I think because like they had the pandemic year, and then they come in, and then you have like, because I'm looking here, this is the official release, who their roster is. So like they have Durant, and they have Draymond Green, and like they have some guys, Kevin Love, that you would think, all right, Tatum's supposed to be the next big guy from the Celtics. They're going to come together. The biggest joke, Greg Popovich. Everyone talks about how he's like the greatest coach because he had the Spurs. How great can you be if you're losing like that internationally, like in exhibitions? Like you should not even. They're exhibitions for a reason. Like even college teams play exhibitions. They rarely lose. Like I know there's been some. I think Michigan even lost one with Beeline, where like you have guys coming back. You're trying new rotations or whatever, but they weren't losing 2 back-to-back and then going and winning the national title or making the Final Four or whatever. Like. Give me a joke. Give me a break. These are the best guys that you have, and then you're coming in and doing that, and like this is your great team, and you're putting everything together. Like I just don't understand it. I don't know why they can't just hype it up more. I would just be shocked if they win it all. Maybe they will. Maybe we'll be talking about how they won it all and how it was very easy for them to do it. But it seems like every couple years the team just dies. They did beat Argentina today. I'd missed that. So they had a 2-game losing streak, and then they beat Argentina to avoid what would have been the first 3-game losing streak in an international stage for the USA basketball team. I just think that eventually, because here in the United States, there's like that one basketball call or high school that opened up now, where they're bidding on players, Matt, because of the likeness thing. So because now you can make money in high school or whatever, because remember how taking money beforehand, you'd be ineligible for NCAA? Well, now that you can get paid, I think you can get paid in high school too. Like, don't quote me on that. If you're a high schooler, don't start making bank and then being denied. But I honestly think that can be a thing, because you remember how some of those guys, like, they make the big stage, like, oh yeah, I did take that money in high school. Let me go to my high school auditorium and give him $500 on stage. Remember? Was that? I think that was Tom Izzo at Michigan State that did that. Then they pay that guy back for having that like banquet for their star guy right before the NCAA tournament. I swear that was a thing that happened, Matt. You laughing? I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna text it to you. But like now in high school, there's high schools now that are just paying players like the G League. And so is that going to be enough? And if that's happening, how many schools are going to lose football teams then? Because if they're paying guys to play basketball, like at some of these smaller schools, because you know that's going to happen. There are AAU teams even at the smallest high schools that I've seen. I've worked at high schools that only had 50 people in their graduating class, and they had an AAU team that was like recruiting, and they had like 12 sponsorships. And it's like, all right, give me a break. You guys aren't that good. Like, you don't need to be playing AAU travel basketball 3 states over. But it's going to get done. So how many of those same sponsors are going to be like, yeah, you're on our basketball squad that's year round and cost your parents $5,000? You're not going to play football. You're not going to play baseball. You have to play either or. And then I wonder if high schools are just going to kind of combine, which would kind of go against, like it would hurt you. But I honestly think that that's going to happen, where more and more, you see it already in Pennsylvania a little bit, where you just have a regional, kind of more like a town team. I think you just get the town teams back, where if you have enough guys, that's your squad, not really tied to your high school anymore, and that's the future. Whoever's paying you, that's what you pay. That's where you play. You get some jerseys, you get some more gear. Maybe they give you a baseball bat if you play baseball, some spikes, a new glove. They give you a $50 gift card to Applebee's. Take your girlfriend. There you go. They'll be eating it up. So, I don't know. I don't have anything else. You have any thoughts on that? Anything else for Final Bell?
Oh, no.
I know you don't like that topic.
Making my head swim.
All right. Well, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll bring in some more stats. I'll bring in the stats for you. Don't worry. But yeah, thanks for listening. Again, sorry we're late. If the quality's messed up, it's because I didn't really get the sound check. But I've also been trying to mess around with some settings and stuff. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, we're going to be hitting the Olympics and stuff coming up. The NBA Finals should be wrapped up soon, so we'll give some recaps on that, and then getting ready for the start of the season for football. So training camp's coming up. You can listen to that. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.